how do you bridge the gap of separation to love? What exactly is the communication that goes on, and do you have experiences that you can share with us about that?
When I am sitting with them and they're even speaking Russian through an interpreter, and I'm speaking to them, I do not look at my interpreter and speak through my interpreter to them, but I look at them, I establish eye contact with them, and I speak to them as if they could truly understand me. I speak to them in English, whether they can understand it or not. And then the interpreter goes on interpreting as I continue the eye contact with them. Now, when they answer back in Russian, whether I can understand it or not, I keep that eye contact, and I stretch the peripheries of my understanding as if I can sometimes actually understand what they are saying without having studied the language. And as I'm sitting there listening to them, even in a different language, they start to feel a camaraderie and a depth of communication that goes far beyond words. So as I say to people, we must listen with the inner ear. We must listen with our heart as well as our mind. And we must listen with an open mind as well as with an open heart. In the early days of going over there, in the days before Gorbachev, when it was a much different world in the Soviet Union, much more oppressive, much less free in what your alternatives were there and working with people, I was meeting with one of the heads of the Women's Committee, and I was negotiating with them on bringing American women there to meet with Soviet women. But the American women were journalists. They wanted to get into the factories. They wanted to interview the workers. They wanted to go into the homes of the workers and talk to them personally and ask them to fill out a questionnaire that even had to do with their belief of God and asking them about God. Well, to be in very high official positions, of course, in the Soviet Union, one has to be an atheist, but this does not mean they do not believe in God. I have to tell you, because we found out everyone believes in something, and what they believe in is the same essence that we find that our believers in this country believe in. When I was negotiating with her, she was speaking to me in Russian through an interpreter, and she was saying, "Niet, niet, niet, it is impossible. We cannot allow this to be done. It is impossible. No, I just don't see how we could do this." Well, I just sat very quietly. I stopped speaking, and I sat there feeling her as a mother, which she was. I established a link, a silent link of communication from mother to mother, from woman to woman. And I simply sat there, and I suddenly felt like a line of energy moving from my heart across this table, this big, round, imposing table, across to her heart. And I could feel her so deeply in my heart. And I sat there with tears just starting to form in my eyes. And I just felt that so much I wanted to communicate from the depth of my being to let her know that it was okay, that they didn't have to feel threatened. She didn't have to feel threatened by this request. And as I was sitting there feeling that, all of a sudden, she began to speak to me in English. And she said, and I had people there with me in this meeting, Americans who in disbelief sat there observing this profundity. And she said, "We are one." And she said, "I will do what you ask." She said, "Because I know that we are working for the same thing." And she said, "Yes, we will arrange for your women to go into the factories. We will arrange for them to go into the homes." And it was that day that I realized that love is the most powerful instrument of existence.
Well, you've been a yogi for a long time. You've studied yoga, you've taught yoga. What is the relationship of yoga to citizen diplomacy?
Well, the term yoga is from the ancient root verb yuj, which means to unite or to become one. And yet, as we delve into the teachings more and more deeply, we see that it does not mean that we have to become one with the source or become one or understand that oneness that we share with others, whether we realize it or not. But it is the releasing of the impediments, again, the armor, which includes the insecurity, the defensiveness of our own nature, to realize that we are already one. We are already one with the Source. It is not going anywhere to become united or to become unified, but it is realizing that we are already unified and we are already in that state of oneness. And that has helped me greatly in my negotiations with the Soviets, because I realized that we are not making peace. The peace already is. It's an attitude. It's an attitude of mind. And if enough of us can come to that understanding within our own inner nature, we will reach a critical mass upon this planet, when we will understand that peace already is. And all we have to do is let go of all that. All we have to do is the most difficult thing, but to let go of everything that shrouds the realization that peace already is, and that we are already united as one global humanitarian family on this planet. We are already one community. We are already a nation of humanity, free of boundaries and borders. And that's why we say citizen diplomacy transcends the political and the personal and the ideological boundaries to truly see the oneness of